Now, in the previous episode, I showed you how you can take personal branding videos using your smartphone. So in this one, let's take your personal branding videos to the next level with entry-level cameras. Yes, you don't have to spend thousands of dollars on a mid-end DSLR like this one. That's way too difficult to use. This small little pocket camera down here, or this affordable mirrorless camera, both costing no more than $900 only, will do wonders. What's up everyone? I'm Differenter Colin from Learns Here Again. We are already on episode 5 of our Next Level series. In the previous episodes, we were really using the most fundamental things to shoot our personal branding videos. From using sunlight from the window, a wired mic, and your phone. So in this video, let's up a notch in our next level video by learning 3 more tricks, including using a cheap pocket camera or a mirrorless camera like these ones. So like what I've mentioned in the previous video, if you want to find out how to put up your set for your personal branding videos, look for the link in the description below for episode 1. Take your interview videos to the next level. I've also shared in the previous video on how you can use illumination from your window to light yourself up. In this video, I'll share something more pro or more next level, which is 2-point lighting. So what's 2-point lighting? Well, as the name suggests, there are 2 points or 2 sources of lighting. They are called the key lights and the field lights. So first, for the key lights, you want to place your better and more powerful light here. You shouldn't place the key light immediately in front of you. Instead, it should be at around a 45 degrees to 60 degree angle on one side of your face. Now, remember to put a diffuser of a softbox over your light, otherwise the light will be way too harsh. With the key light up, the next light will be the field light. Well, the field light essentially does what it says to field. So with the key light illuminating one side of your face, the other side could naturally be a little bit too dark. So the field light, usually a less powerful light, will be placed on the other end, also at roughly a 45 degree to 60 degree angle to light up your face on the darker side. Try not to set the field light to the same level as your key light unless you want a totally uniform look on both sides of your face. So for me, I like to play around such that the field light is just a little bit darker so that it creates some depth. Does this sound familiar? Well, it should be if you had watched my first episode where I introduced a 3-point lighting at that time. Here, I remove the backlight, and for most of your shoots, removing that light won't make too much of a difference actually. But if you want to use a third light, do watch episode 1 to know how to put up the backlight, okay? So now that you are all lighted up, let me share with you the second consideration, which are the cameras here that I'll be using today. As you already seen, I have these 2 cameras here. Now this compact one down here is the Sony ZV-1. It has a retractable lens that can zoom from 24mm to 70mm. What's really impressive is that at 24mm, the widest aperture is at f1.8, and even at 70mm, it's still reasonably wide at f2.8. Now what this f number means is that the smaller the number, the more light will be let into the sensor. And another effect is that you get more background blur or bokeh. So let me show you what it means. Now this is done at 24mm f1.8. Now you can see that this footage here is bright and you can see a bit of background blur behind me. Now this is the same shot done at 24mm but at f5.6 this time. Comparatively, it's a lot darker now and you can hardly see any background blur behind me. On some newer smartphones, you can actually simulate this effect, and in the new iPhone 13 Pro, they call this the cinematic mode, which allows you to change the aperture settings. But bear in mind that while on this ZV-1 camera, the background blur is captured in real time, the bokeh in the iPhone or most other smartphone cameras nowadays, they are done through software manipulation. So in other words, they are fake on the phone. So if you want to keep that bokeh real, you need to rely on actual cameras. Now back to background blur. Now you've seen the background blur on the ZV-1 set to f1.8. Now this is the same shot done on another camera set at f1.8. Do you notice that there is a lot more background blur on this second camera? Well, before I explain why, this second camera is the cheap mirrorless camera that I will be recommending you to get. Now this is the Sony ZV-E10. The difference between this and the compact camera is the ZV-E10 comes with the ability to swap lenses. And that would also mean that you need to invest a bit more by getting an additional lens. But anyway, back to the two shots that we were comparing. Why was it that on the ZV-E10, the bokeh is blurrier than that of the ZV-1? Well, the answer lies in the size of the sensors. The ZV-E10 is an APS-C or crop sensor camera. Compared to the ZV-1, the sensor is much bigger. And without going into the science of all this, right, you just need to trust me that on a bigger sensor, the background blur is more pronounced at the same aperture number, okay? So anyway, regardless of which camera, your bokeh will definitely be better than that of the iPhone. Now in this iPhone 12 Pro Max shot, you can see that there's virtually no background blur when I set it on the native video mode. And this is why I'm recommending you to get a camera for your next level personal videos. If not for anything else, this nice background blur that you see will already make your videos look so much better. I won't go too technical on how you need to set up your camera here except for the exposure settings. For everything else, from how to place your camera to how you position yourself in the framing, refer to what I've already shared in the previous episode, which is episode 4. You can find the link to that video in the description below. Okay, back to the exposure settings. There are 3 things that you need to pay attention to when it comes to exposure. The first is aperture, which I've already introduced earlier. The second is shutter speed, and the third is ISO. So let's talk about shutter speed here first. For your next level personal branding videos, I really recommend that you shoot in 30 frames per second. Most mirrorless cameras nowadays allow you to shoot between 24, 30, 50 and 60 frames per second. If your videos are to be uploaded on social media like Facebook or Instagram, 30 frames per second is actually good enough already. So some content creators or filmmakers you watch will argue for you to be using 24 or 60 frames per second. Trust me, at this stage, right, most of your viewers will not be able to tell the difference. So anyway, with your frame rate set to 30, you would want to set your shutter speed to twice of that. In this case, switch your shutter speed to 60. Why 2 times? Well, any higher and you can't see any motion blur, which makes your video look a little bit too unnatural. And any lower, you will risk a slow-mo like effect. Now that you have set your aperture, and by the way, remember to use a lower f number if you can, so that you achieve that nice background blur. But do experiment with other aperture settings like f2.8 or f3.5 or maybe at the highest f4.0. I wouldn't recommend going any higher because you won't be getting any more depth beyond that. Okay, anyway, with aperture and shutter speed set, the last one is ISO. So now, depending on how bright or dark your image looks, change your ISO accordingly so that your meter here says 0.0. Now, turning ISO up will brighten your image and turning it down will darken it, of course. So play with it until you get a nice exposure. Now, for the sake of this video, I won't go into the second level or the third level details. And I mean, this video is not supposed to be technical. So for now, with the knowledge of these 3 exposure settings, you should be ready to shoot. But really, are you? Well, if you watch the other episodes, do you know what is missing? That's right. sound. So in episode 2, I've introduced to you the wireless lavalier mic, and it will be good if you are using this for your personal branding video too. But for this video, I'm going to recommend something different, a boom mic. Now, you've heard me talk about the shotgun mic in episode 2, which is the one mounted on the camera. I usually wouldn't recommend the use of that in any of your videos, but if you can tweak one parameter of that shotgun mic right, I reckon the sound of your video will be much better. And that change is to remove it from your camera and place it in front of you. I mean, literally mere inches from your face. So now with this mic up close, this is called a boom. Well, strictly in film, booms means something else, but let's not get too technical here. Okay, so how do you record sound when your mic is so far away from the camera? Well, of course, you can get a super long male-to-male 3.5 mm audio jack cable, but there's another more convenient way to do so, and that's simply to connect your boom mic to your computer. What are the models of boom mics I would recommend? Well, without breaking your wallet, you can either get one of those very popular Blue Yeti mics. But bear in mind, that is a USB mic that you cannot connect to your camera or phone. So I would suggest you look into getting this very affordable $90 Rode Video Mic Go. Or if you can splurge a little more, go for this Rode Video Mic NTG Hybrid, which allows you to connect via a 3.5 mm audio jack to your camera or USB to your computer. In any case, place your boom mic around 6 to 12 inches from your face, and you'll be able to get audio quality like this. Well, don't you think that this sounds as good, if not better, than your lavalier mics? I mean, it should be, because your boom mic is so big and your lavalier mics is so small only, isn't it? So now, with your 2-point lighting sets, your compact or mirrorless camera ready, and your boom mic placed just in front of you, you are good to roll for your next level personal videos. In fact, what you're seeing here now is shot using the Sony ZV-1 Sync to the chip Video Mic Go from Rode. Now, possible as a professionally shot video using our usual setup, which costs 7 to 8 times more, isn't it? So I hope the 3 considerations that I shared with you in this video about your personal branding videos to the next level are useful for you. Now, if you learned something, do help me by liking this video so that YouTube can prioritize this video for more people to watch too. In any case, we still have 3 more videos in this series. So for those of you who are property agents, you will definitely want to watch the next episode, which is entitled Take Your Home Video to the Next Level. And after that, I'll share something about your home studio setup and how to take B-rolls. So do stay tuned to this channel, okay? So be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you won't miss any of our other episodes. So meanwhile, go check out the other videos in our YouTube channel. And until then, I'm Differenter Colin. Why be different when you can be differenter? I'll see you in the next one.